Hey, what's up? I'm Joe.
I'm E.
This is No Nerd Left Behind. Today we are talking about
Comic books.
always. So, you had me watch the Venom trailer.
Did you watch it?
I actually watched it. I am more prepared than I was for the last episode of this.
We'll count that last episode as a pilot test run because
Right.
the audio didn't pick up.
Not at all. I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Speaking of Venom,
yep, Venom.
unsponsored, but
Yep.
he got a little Venom can.
Only thing that keeps me awake. So, obviously, you saw the trailer. I watched
Yeah.
the trailer. I got a few notes to it. One, I like that they're going with like the original storyline. It looks like with the spaceship crashing on a bridge and the symbiote comes
Well,
off
let's
there.
slow
That's what
down.
it looks like.
There's
Yeah.
no Spider-Man, so it's not an original
It's
storyline.
original enough for me.
They say that they're doing the lethal protector comic book.
Isn't Venom too old for that shit?
Um,
Lethal Weapon.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No. All right.
I just got it. Danny Glover, a reference. How did you feel about it?
You know what threw me off the most on it? The Asian scientist lady or whatever hell she was talking to Tom Hardy's character Eddie Brock, and she's like, he's calling it a symbiote. I'm like,
Oh, they
no,
fixed that.
no one's ever called it a symbiote.
They fixed that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's in another trailer, but there was. I think the directors were talking about how there was an uproar with everybody saying it's symbiote,
No,
not
I've
symbiote.
never heard it pronounced that way. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well, symbiosis, so people think there is
Yeah,
like
but yeah,
educated scholars that will call it
symbiotic relationship, symbiote. I mean,
Yeah, I like symbiote because of the animated series.
That's how it's always been.
Yeah, so
Biote my ass.
that pissed you off, huh?
It did.
I heard they changed the audio for
Okay,
that.
that's
so thank
good.
God.
That's good. Venom looks really cool in that, by the way. And
He does look good.
I thought it was funny. Tom Hardy, who for some reason in this movie trailer looks like Jeremy Renner. I don't know why.
Okay.
He never looks like Tom Hardy. He's talking to the chick that's like tailing somebody while he's tailing somebody. He's like, "You gotta get better at blending in." Like, yeah, that sounds like something Tom Hardy would say because I never know when he's in a movie.
Yeah, he
Ever.
is a very good actor, and I mean,
It's like he doesn't have a real face. He's just in everything. I watched a movie called, I don't remember what the hell it was called. Tom Hardy was in it. It was just him in a car driving for an hour and a half taking phone calls.
that's.
And it was a great movie.
What about the Venom movie? As in, let's talk about the appearance of Venom. So you said you like him. What about the eyes? Do you think that they did the eyes right?
They made him look a little bit more, it looked like they threw elements of Carnage in there, like where they made him look a little bit more feral.
Mm-hmm.
But they still look good. Like it's not smoothed out like the cartoon stuff was. So I think for drifting a little bit from the original design, I think they did a really good job with the cartoon.
How do you feel?
look.
How you feel about the veins, the white veins all over Venom? Do you think that was a good move? Part of the podcast.
Didn't he?
Ducks.
Geese.
Oh,
Or
those
something.
are geese?
I think that's a goose. But I think they probably did that just as an addition to make it like seem like something was taking over. Like how they do like the roid rage thing. I don't know if you caught. Did you watch Gifted at
No.
all? They did a similar thing with a guy with mutant powers, and it looked like all of the veins were going crazy. I think it's just something they use as like an artistic thing to show power.
I like it in the sense that he doesn't have the white symbol, but he has, it pays homage to that with the white veins.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense for him to have a white Spider-Man
So
logo on him.
do you think the white Spider-Man logo, when it does come on, do you think it's going to be like a veiny, or do you think they're just going to do that white?
I don't know, because it would look kind of weird for him to have a Spider-Man logo, really, if they don't do, because he had, in the comics, he had the Spider-Man logo, because the symbiote, not symbiote, 'cause what the hell, was originally part of the Secret Wars storyline, and it was on Spider-Man first, and then it got to Eddie Brock.
Right.
So it kind of took the logo with him.
So how does that work? If it was the Secret Wars costume was on Spider-Man, but yet they do have that backstory where James Jonah Jameson's son crashes the shuttle and brings.
Yeah, finds it in space, yeah.
So
and-
does Spider-Man lose it during the Secret Wars?
No, because he brings it back with him. He
So-
brings it back to I think they rebooted the Venom storyline because then there's a whole nother thing where Venom there's like a whole alien planet like Kleinar or something like that of symbiotes, and they all just live on the planet.
Right.
And then there's some kind of head symbiote in the center of the planet or something. I
Well,
don't know.
the story of this movie
Weird.
goes that the Riot symbiote is like a more superior symbiote than the Venom symbiote, and the Venom symbiote is like the outcast of symbiotes. So, from what I've heard on podcasts and other media, it was like they wanted to make it look like Venom was like, shunned upon, and they didn't like him, and he
He's
has
like the underdog.
yeah, and that's why he's smaller than the Riot symbiote. Do you think they're gonna put other symbiotes in this movie?
I've heard people ask that question, like, is Carnage going to be in there? And like,
We'll get to Carnage, but what about the other ones that were in the Lethal Protector comic books?
see, the thing that gets me is, shouldn't they like go with like the symbiotes in order of how they were kind of introduced in the comics? Like, because he started with Venom, right? Then he had Carnage because Venom got pregnant somehow. Not really sure what knocked Venom up. That was kind of never really explained. I mean, they're like asexual or something. They just have kids.
The animated series explained it as Dormammu found or knew of the Venom symbiote having an offspring, and then they wanted to offer it to Venom.
Oh wow, yeah, that animated series was a mess.
Yeah.
Venom and Dormammu in the same like
Yeah.
20-minute span. Can't do that now.
Yeah.
Though I'd like to see Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Hardy go together or something like that.
Well, Tom Hardy did say he wants to bring the Venom character into the Marvel Universe.
Which would be great, since,
We got to see the movie first.
Yeah.
I mean, I have high hopes for it. I think they're doing a good job of giving us a great actor playing Eddie Brock finally.
Tom Hardy is fantastic.
I mean, the 70s show guy was just Ed Foreman, or what's his name?
what the hell? Topher? Was it Topher Grace?
Grace. He was just.
He. It's weird because you got Topher Grace had the exact same frame as Tobey Maguire to the point where I could.
Eric Foreman, sorry.
Yeah, I could confuse the two actors because they look the same. And like, Eddie Brock is supposed to be like the big muscle head, like Flash.
There was so many things wrong with Spider-Man 3 with that Venom character. One, the puny,
So many things
small Eddie Brock was not good. Two, the back and forth acting between the two actors of Toby and Topher, it wasn't great. And then three, they didn't even bother to change Venom's voice at all to make it
like
look like
gravelly. Like he's supposed to sound like Christian Bale when he's mad.
as opposed to
That 70s show getting high.
as opposed to the Venom movie that's coming out. This Venom sounds like very creepy.
He does.
And I heard that Tom Hardy is doing the voice.
It doesn't surprise me because, again, Tom Hardy can be anybody.
Yeah, he's doing the voice for Venom, and he changed it. And I like that relationship where they like bicker with each other and they're trying to figure things out.
Because it is, this symbiotic relationship. It's two things sharing like one system, so they got two different distinct personalities going.
I love it.
Saying all that, Tom Hardy probably would have been a better Jason Bourne than Matt Damon.
That's funny. Tom Hardy would be a better anything than Matt Damon, in my opinion. But I also like the look of Tom Hardy being, muscular without the symbiote. He's a very...
He looks like Eddie Brock would.
Yeah,
Like the cartoon Eddie Brock even.
So their story is this Eddie Brock is a reporter. I don't know if it's for the Daily Bugle. I doubt it. They're going to bring that in there.
Yeah, I don't think they would.
But he did do some... kind of like what he did in the Spider-Man comic books where he kind of like faked a Spider-Man story to kind of put Spider-Man down, and then that's where they,
He's doing like freelance and like controversial stories, it seems like, in the trailer. Kind of like, he's like TMZ meets BuzzFeed.
And from what I read, he's on the comeback. Like, he messed up and no one gives him credit for anything anymore because, he was faking his stories and things like that. But now he just wants to find something big, goes to the Life Foundation.
So obviously Donald Trump was not a fan of his fake news.
Yeah, it was fake news. He wants to find stuff out with this. It is the Life Foundation, and from there, they use him as a test subject because they were going to kill him off anyways for snooping in their business. It's kind of cool from the trailers. I'm excited for the movie.
Oh yeah, me too. I've wanted to see a good version of a big screen Venom for quite some time.
Oh yeah,
because the last one, like you said, terrible.
It destroyed me because I was, thinking about it now. It's what got me into like doing research about comic book stuff online, because when I heard they're making Spider-Man 3, I kept digging deep and finding websites.
That movie was so messed up. You can't have you had Venom, the Green Goblin, and Sandman all in the same movie, right?
Yeah, and they weren't even, and none of them were true to their comic book.
No, if you're gonna have that many villains in it, just do a Sinister Six movie.
Yeah.
But you can't do 3 villains all doing separate things and screw up everyone. The only one of them that was even close to being the same as the comic book one was Sandman, and Sandman's not a good villain.
Well, you're an Xbox owner. I wanted to get into something else too, and I'm a PS4 owner. I got
You're gonna rub it in my face that I can't play
Sorry.
Spider-Man.
So yeah, let's talk about Spider-Man. Spoilers ahead. We're gonna talk about the Spider-Man game, and I want to get Joe's feedback.
Oh,
on
no
it.
worries. It's gonna be a spoiler for me too because I haven't been able to play it.
So the game, and you probably won't.
Yeah,
you
because
have
I
it.
don't own a PS4.
The game follows. I think his name is Mr. Negative Man, something like that. It follows Peter Parker has been Spider-Man for about 8 years, maybe 10 years.
Okay.
So you're working with Doc Ock at a facility, so he's not Dr. Octopus. And the story is pretty unique because it's all about Norman Osborn, who's the mayor of New York,
Okay.
and everybody has a grudge with him.
That sounds about right.
You're Spider-Man. You're facing off against. I want to call him Mr. Negative. He gives off this negative energy, and he can have people like in a way possessed. And
It's
do
weird
what he
because every
wants.
time you say negative, I think Negaduck from Darkwing Duck.
That's
I can't get that out of my head now.
And the story is pretty good because when you're Peter Parker, you're working with Doc Ock on advanced limbs and mechanics for like people who lose their arms or people who have certain type of diseases, neurological diseases where they can't use their body parts, and it's giving like a little bit of a hint to the Doc Ock arms.
Yeah, him getting his little tentacle dealies.
Yeah. And the story's pretty good because you start off facing this one bad guy, the Mr. Negative character, who has a backstory with Aunt May. And they open up a shelter, I think it's called The Feast, and they provide for people. But you find out later on that Norman Osborn had something to do with that individual getting his powers, and he wants revenge. And it gets pretty fucked up. The game's a little dark.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, they needed a dark Spider-Man game that was better. But here's a question about that, since you mentioned Aunt May in that one. Is this one of the scenarios where Aunt May is an old woman still, or is she hot? Because they seem to switch back and forth constantly.
She's older in this, and it gets pretty sad. Again, spoilers. In the game, as you progress, you take down the Mr. Negative, but simultaneously you find out that Norman disrupts Doc Ock's experiments and takes away all of his fundings. So he goes off and makes those arms, and it messes with it. He's actually has a neurogenic disease that's about to make him, in a way, paralyzed, where he can't use his body. So he sticks in the microchip, just like in the Spider-Man 2 story, and he gets the arms. And then later on, you find out that a bunch of villains have escaped. I think it's Ravencroft. I forgot the name of it.
Law?
Raven something.
Yeah, I don't
Anyway.
remember. It's been a while.
So it's actually the development of the Sinister Six. So
Okay.
the actual bad guys in the game are the Sinister Six.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's the development of them, like how they became. So you're fighting Vulture.
Yeah.
You're fighting Doc Ock, of course.
Yep.
I'm gonna call him Mr. Negative again. I don't know his comic book name. People are probably gonna shun me for that. Electro,
Yep. Okay.
the Scorpion,
All right. Yeah.
and Rhino.
Rhino.
Yeah, and they're good. I mean, the way they develop these characters and the way they designed them, it's pretty cool.
Well,
pretty
I look
badass.
forward to never playing this since I don't own a PS4.
Yeah.
That's great.
Doc Ock, the reason why he assembles them is because each of them have either a medical or a personal problem that Doc Ock solves because he's such a genius. And it gets explained throughout the game. And the relationship between Doc Ock and Peter Parker and then Doc Ock and Spider-Man, it's pretty serious. The game ends very sad. I will spoil it for you guys.
Oh, go ahead. Spoil for everybody.
Peter's left with there's a virus that Norman developed to cure multiple diseases.
Mm-hmm.
However, the virus is in its early stages, and it actually works as like a weapon of like, how would I explain that? Like a chemical weapon, biochemical weapon. And Doc Ock wants to release it on New York to show that, to discredit Osborn.
Right.
And he releases it later on in the game after you prevent other people from releasing it. He finally releases it, and a lot of people get sick. Well, during the process of you guys finding a cure, you find out that Norman did develop a cure, but he wouldn't release it to the public because he knows he can make money off of it. And when he finds the cure, finally, or Spider-Man finally gets the cure in his hands, he has a decision to make at the end of the game. Because Aunt May has the virus, and she's in the last stages of life, basically. She's about to die because of the virus. So you have a decision to either inject... You don't get the decision, but Spider-Man has a decision to either inject Aunt May with this virus to help cure her, or use it as... Because they only have one batch
dose
of it, to use it to help everybody in New York. So it's like, let hundreds die or let Aunt May die. And can you guess what happens?
I'm guessing Aunt May dies.
Aunt May dies.
That is a dark video game.
It's very dark.
That's
and
messed up.
It's fucked up. You leave like thinking like, what the hell? Like, what the hell?
So what? They just took the whole feeling of Spider-Man dying in Infinity War. Spoiler? No, maybe. I don't know. Everybody should know by now. And just went with it and like, you know what? Let's make a sad video game to go with this.
It's very fucked up. I mean, it's very good too because the story just keeps building and building and building.
You don't want to leave a video game feeling sad. That's messed up. That's weird.
Well, there's another. I'll give you another spoiler that's kind of cool. In contrast, Miles Morales is in the game.
Okay.
You play as him without powers, of course. Just you play with Mary Jane and Miles Morales in kind of the similar sense where they sneak around to do stuff.
Superhero game without superpowers. Okay.
It's pretty cool. But during the game, while you're Mary Jane, you're going through Norman Osborn's house or condo, I should say. And you're sneaking around people and things like that, and you find a secret room, and you go in it, and there's a bunch of spiders that he's been testing on to replicate Spider-Man's powers.
Right.
That gave Peter powers, and so one of the spiders, one of the casings breaks.
Yep.
And it sticks on Mary Jane. Eventually, makes its way to Miles Morales.
And that's how he becomes his little Spider-Man version.
During the cutscene at the end of the game, you find out before that Norman's son, Harry, is sick, and he's not away on vacation where you believe at first in the beginning of the game. He's actually went for treatment. But then you find out in that secret room, he was actually in the secret room the whole time, in a casing, and guess what's on him?
Is it a goblin mask?
Nope.
Ooh.
It's a symbiote.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so they might be setting up a good second video game there.
Yep, and I think they're going to use Harry as the
Venom?
I guess so.
That's kind of weird. But again, I'm never going to get to play this game. Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of life-changing things right there.
I'm sorry, dude.
Nah, it's all right.
If you want, I'll let you play it. I mean, you're going to have to sit for a couple of days in the room and play, but...
Unfortunately, I actually have things to do outside of this.
Yeah.
But hey, it's been a weird day. I just found out today that I'm left-handed.
Okay.
Yeah, weirdest thing. It was pointed out to me that apparently I'm left-handed or ambidextrous. I don't know. I never put any thought into it. I just always used my right hand for stuff, but apparently I use my left hand without thinking.
That's funny.
It is. I'm 30-some years old and I didn't know.
Here's another thing I want to talk to you about. The Dark Phoenix trailer dropped.
Heard about it. Hadn't watched it yet.
I don't know how I feel about it. I mean...
I hear they're doing a lot of reworking on that one, too. Because they just pushed it back, too, didn't they?
Yeah, they pushed back multiple Sony movies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like... Or I shouldn't... Fox. I'm sorry. Fox movies. I just feel like they should have just said, whoa, hold up, Disney bought us, Marvel has us, let's do a real...
Yeah, let's wait until it's all there.
I mean, introducing the Wolverine character in the Avengers makes sense. He's an Avenger himself.
Yep.
You can do so much. You can do a Wolverine versus Hulk movie now.
People want to see that so bad.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
I think Mark Ruffalo wants to see that. I think the only person that's not interested in really doing a Wolverine movie anymore is Hugh Jackman.
I personally, I didn't even care to watch the trailer when it was released, and I'm one to watch the trailers as soon as they drop.
Yeah, I didn't catch it at all.
I didn't even care to. I eventually did because just wanted to see what the hype was about, if there was hype, and it just does nothing for me. I don't know if it's just overexhaustion with all the X-Men movies out there,
I think it's just disappointment on how they're handling some of the X-Men stuff. Because like other trailers, like they're still interesting to watch. I mean,
the only cool thing that came out of those X-Men movies, the new ones, was the Silver
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver.
He's good. I mean, I love
That scene was hilarious.
Michael Fassbender's role as Magneto. He does a great job being Magneto.
Okay, yeah,
I think
true.
he's a great Magneto, and you know,
I mean, X-Men First Class was amazing.
Oh yeah, First Class was great. I mean, I liked. Yeah, First Class, and I liked Apocalypse. That was a good one, just because the Quicksilver scene in there.
Yeah.
He was fun to watch, like you said.
But the First Class was really good, and Days of Future Past was really good too.
Days of Future Past was great.
But I don't know, they're kind of exhausting it. The Apocalypse movie,
Apocalypse was done really bad.
That's the problem. Like, oh my God, you have this character who's like as badass as Thanos in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you guys could have done something huge with this character, and then what did you do? You made him into like
you could even
made him look like the guy from Power Rangers, that purple ooze guy.
Yeah, you could have hired a bigger person to play him, because I mean, in all the versions,
Tom Hardy.
Could have done it. In all the versions of Apocalypse I've ever seen in any comic or TV, like animated or anything, he's a big guy who has, like, for some reason, randomly cannons for arms because he can change shape.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Do
you see the thing that they put out some weird article, like, bragging that DC has more movies slated to drop than Marvel now? And I'm like, well, because Marvel's been doing this for 10, 15 years. What, 18 years?
Yeah, and like...
Don't be proud of the fact that you're 2 decades behind.
DC doesn't know what they're doing
Not
anymore.
a clue.
I mean, they dropped Superman.
Did you see Cameron Monaghan, the Joker from Gotham,
Okay.
trolling Juniper Berry Phoenix's Joker?
Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
That's the
Okay.
one. Yeah, he put it on his Twitter. A little short clip of a Mr. Rogers episode where Mr. Rogers puts on a clown mask, and the clown mask is the exact same makeup that Phoenix has for his Joker thing.
No way.
Yeah, and like I told you earlier in the week, the thing that bugs me about his Joker, he's got a red nose and red eyebrows. Why does Joker need a red clown nose?
Well, to be fair, we don't know if that's the full Joker.
No, but this is America, and I can be mad about it now.
Definitely. Me personally, I like it. I think it's creepy. I think the footage that they released was kind of creepy. I like the purple suit, and I like the only thing I could say that is weird is why give him Heath Ledger's hair.
Heath Ledger's hair is weird. He looks way too old.
Yeah,
he really does. And to me,
you
like
said it best before. You don't want to see a Batman beat up a geriatric Joker.
I thought you said that.
Oh, did I?
I think that was you. Thanks for giving me credit, though.
10 years later, the Batman will arrive, and how old will the Joker be by then?
Unless somehow falling into some type of toxic sludge, or however they make the origin in that movie makes him young.
They had a very good potential for Gotham to do the Joker right, but then they just kind of went sideways.
Well, they weren't allowed to.
What does that mean? Like, what do you mean you're not allowed to?
I guess,
you own the character. We're basically saying this is a Batman show, and this is the Joker. Without saying it, that's just dumb.
The movie part of DC that owns the characters, like, doesn't like the TV shows, like on Arrow, for like a few seasons they had Deathstroke, and then no mention of it at all, and then he comes back in like season 6. It's because DC, like the head of DC, like movies or whatever, said, "Oh, you can't use Deathstroke. We're going to put him in like 2 seconds of a movie."
Tell them. Like the shows are doing better than the movies.
They don't want to cause confusion. But like the shows are better. The Flash show is better than the Flash that I've seen in the movies. He's awful. He looks like a confused little nerd dude.
Personally, like,
which
they
makes no damn sense.
And then I don't know. They did so much with that, like taking away from us like characters where they could have developed the crap out of them.
Yeah, and made them reasonable. Notice how we always bash on DC for just being terrible at everything.
Yeah, because they had potential. I mean, they made the best show ever, the best movie ever, which was The Dark Knight. They did the Joker justice in that movie. It was an epic movie.
Very well done movie.
And then they just shitted on it because...
It just fell apart.
They didn't extend on that. I mean, we talked about it before. Why didn't they just use Michael Keaton as Batman as an older Batman and did that storyline. Like, why couldn't they just keep it in
Yeah,
continuity?
it's not like Michael Keaton minds playing old aged characters like in that movie was it Birdman or something where he played
I didn't get to watch that one.
he played an old guy that used to play a superhero. Okay, that made perfect sense. Or he was the Vulture in Spider-Man. It's like he played an old dude that's over the hill. Like he's good at playing who he is.
I thought he did awesome
Yeah.
as the Vulture.
He's
And
good
he
at
will be in
playing-
the second one.
Yeah, he's good at being an old guy that's just done with shit.
What do you know about the second Spider-Man? Have you heard any news?
I have all I keep hearing is like people comparing the end result of Infinity War to Spider-Man. And it's like, oh well, he's going to be alive, or is it going to take place in the past? I'm like, just no, I don't know. I didn't look into it.
They're doing Mysterio.
Okay, yeah.
They're doing
Who's-
Hydro Man too.
Who's playing Mysterio?
They say it's Jake Gyllenhaal, but there's also rumors that he didn't sign the contract yet. But who? Then again, like how many times we see Mysterio without his mask? If
Right,
they-
it doesn't really matter. Oddly enough, Ryan Reynolds would have been a good Mysterio. Or I'd like to see Bruce Campbell do Mysterio.
That's funny.
He'd be
We were
fine.
gonna get that.
We were. and
There
we
is
did.
actually online you can watch like deleted or like
From-
scripts and things like that
Yeah.
where he was supposed to be Mysterio.
Hydro Man, though. That's interesting.
Yeah, because there's a scene where Spider-Man is fighting water.
Hydro
getting
Man was the
blasted with
most
water.
confusing part of the animated series to me.
So we have that
Because
was
that's when they threw in all the Spider clones and the Gwen Stacy clones and all that, and it just
Yeah.
got really weird.
the Ben Parker clone.
Yeah,
That's
it-
the original Spider-Man, right? And Peter Parker was the clone. From what I remember, Ben Parker was the original Spider-Man who thought he was the clone, but it ended up becoming Peter Parker was the clone.
It depends on how. I think it depends because I remember like the original Spider-Man animated series. He's like chasing down Hydro Man and he finds clones of Gwen Stacy or something like that. It gets really weird and confusing. Like I remember watching that as a kid and being as confused as I was when I watched X-Men the animated series and they threw time travel in.
Speaking more, I mean, we can go back to the Spider-Man 2 movie. There was video footage of Spider-Man in a black costume. An all-black costume with white lenses, but no white symbol. People are saying, though, it might be like a stealth mode because of the Stark technology. in
Yeah,
the
because he
suit.
does have the Iron Spider suit, so yeah, stealth mode would make sense because it wouldn't make sense, and Marvel's better at making sense than DC. It wouldn't make sense for them to throw in the Venom costume when there's a Venom movie going on.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, at least in the original rumors of the Venom movie, it's not supposed to take place in the same universe as the Spider-Man movies.
No, it's not.
So it's a completely standalone movie.
We don't know yet. We'll see.
Allegedly.
There's also, Woody Harrelson is in the movie. He's I think in the IMDb he's credited as being in the movie, but he might be the Cletus Cassidy.
Cletus Cassidy.
Cletus
Oh,
Cassidy.
he'd be great at
He
that.
might be the Venom. He might be the Carnage.
I would love to see Woody Harrelson as Carnage.
Isn't that crazy?
He's just crazy enough to pull it off.
Going back to the Spider-Man movie, I guess we're gonna get a Sinister Six in a sense because we have Vulture, we have Scorpion, who was in the end of the movie.
Yeah.
The first one. We're having Hydro Man and we're having Mysterio. It's probably not the original lineup, but we need
but
two
there's
more.
been so many different lineups for that. Like I was just reading like something about it was like 15 different lineups the Sinister Six had. I'm like, that's a lot of different people.
I mean, I like the Spider-Man game, what they did with Doc Ock and
Yeah,
being
Doc
the lead.
Ock's usually the main one in the Sinister Six, but yeah, they gotta throw it together. I'm sure they'll figure out enough animal-named people to do this.
Now, going back to the Spider-Man animated series, one of my favorite episodes, and I think it was a 2 or 3 part episode, was the Morbius episodes.
Oh yeah.
And they are doing a Morbius movie.
I thought, who was signed on for that?
Jared Leto.
Yes, somebody that ruins characters for me.
Yeah.
That'll be disappointing.
I've also heard Blade. They want to reboot Blade.
They do, and I heard Wesley Snipes says that he's the only one that can do it right.
Yeah.
I think he just needs more money to pay his back taxes.
You're right. I don't know if I want Blade to be a live action movie or a live action show on Netflix. I would probably want to see it on Netflix.
I wouldn't mind seeing it on Netflix, but I'd like to see it as a movie too, but I don't think they'd be able to integrate it really well into the rest of the universe. Like, you wouldn't have Blade hanging out with the Avengers.
Right. One thing I'm super excited for, speaking of Netflix shows, is I love Wilson Fisk. That character is awesome. The
Daredevil season
show.
3.
Yeah,
Isn't
dude.
that, about 2 weeks away? 3
Yeah,
now?
maybe less.
Yeah, that's coming up soon. That's going to be good. Because, we just got off of Iron Fist season 2, which was not as disappointing as Iron Fist season 1.
To you, I thought it was crap. I hated
You
it.
thought it was worse than season 1?
I thought season 1 gave me some mystery, like what this character is, and I'm like trying to learn him, and I was like more into it. Season 2, I was constantly like, what the hell am I watching? Why is this so dumb?
Iron Fist is not the. I mean, honestly, he's not the best character in the Marvel universe. He's not that fun.
They
to
could have
follow.
made him great. I
Well,
mean,
they could have.
they could have made him like, oh man, there's so much you could do with that character because in a sense he's basically a martial artist, and like with
He's
MMA nowadays.
He's a rich kid who has all the money in the world and fights crime. He's a bad version of Batman.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Something was off with that character.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Spider-Man cartoons, when they put Iron Fist in it with Luke Cage as the Heroes for Hire, it was pretty cool. I liked
but
it.
he was never like the main in it. He was always just like a little side thing, like, hey, remember this or whatever. Like
He
focus
was
your chi.
zen.
He was
yeah,
like
he
Jiminy
kept everybody.
Cricket.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
what it
if
is.
they do a Heroes for Hire Luke Cage Iron Fist show, I would be into it probably. But I just want them to do like supernatural things. Like let them fight a monster. Let them fight a space alien. Stop doing
Supernatural
some...
things. That's going to be with Justice League Dark. That's what
I
that's
can't
gonna
wait.
Oh,
I can't wait.
I don't
Swamp
know.
Thing.
Swamp Thing's going to be interesting for sure.
That brings them.
Yep, Justice League Dark. I don't know where that is development wise. As long as they keep Matt Ryan playing Constantine, I'll be happy because he nailed the role.
He did.
Speaking of TV shows, I know you want to talk about Titans.
Titans is maybe we'll save it for our next podcast because I need you to watch the trailers.
I watched the trailers.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm
Finally, watching trailers.
I'm a very safe driver that way.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be good. I think it's about time we get a Dick Grayson in the TV universe. I think the Robin suit looks awesome. They're bringing Jason Todd. The Starfire character, I don't want to judge her yet. I want to see what they pull off with her.
Yeah.
Beast Boy, changeling.
Yep.
The tiger, it looked okay. And Raven is.
I think my biggest problem with the Raven one though is, I know she's a younger person. She's supposed to look
13.
She's supposed to look damaged, and they nail it. Like she's got the look of that description, but I think they did it too well. I think she looks too young and too damaged. It's something weird about it. But then again, evil spirits and all that, it kind of works.
I feel like this is the only time where trailers take away from the show because the show is going to be dark.
It's like watching a trailer for a comedy, like a film, and all the jokes are in the trailer.
Yeah.
But it's going to be dark. And since it's a TV show, they can't take too much away because you'll have a season of stuff to work with.
Yeah.
So 2-minute trailer won't take that much away. My thing was, I was never big on the Teen Titans because they always felt like a B-League Justice League. Like, oh, hey, you're not, strong enough to hang with Aquaman.
The Judas Contract was really good.
That
comic book was good.
And
Not the animated show, the comic or the movie.
The movie wasn't that bad either.
The comic was way better.
I'm sure it was because the movie wasn't bad. That was one of the low points in the DC animated universe of movies, which, they got a pretty high bar there. They do a lot of good movies.
I like the idea of bringing Batman to the show too. I hope they do.
Are they going to?
The suit leaked online that they have a prototype Batman suit. Bruce Wayne is obviously in the shows. I've heard from people who've watched the first 3 episodes that Bruce Wayne is kind of shadowed in them, but they're building up to an eventual frontal Bruce Wayne.
See, that's
appearance.
the thing. That's the thing. DC messes up so much. You've got the same character being played by multiple actors on 3 different platforms at the same time. It's confusing. Like you look at Marvel. There's not this is Tony Stark on TV, but this guy's playing Tony Stark in the movies. They don't do that. But here's your TV Flash, here's your movie Flash, here's your TV Bruce Wayne, your other TV Bruce Wayne, there's your movie Bruce Wayne, but he quit, so we're getting a different movie Bruce Wayne now.
I like
disorganized, terrible.
Yeah, I like the Jason Todd idea. I'm hoping that we get to a Red Hood. I would like to see a Joker kill Jason Todd on screen. That'd be pretty cool.
It is really satisfying to see
They
Robin
better not
die.
just skim through that Jason Todd died. And
No, since it's going to be a darker TV show, I'm sure we'll
I
get
want
to
to see
some
Joker beat
brutality.
the shit out of him with a crowbar. I know that sounds fucked up, but I want to see it.
Yeah, that sounds a little fucked up, but I understand because Robin.
Yeah. Maybe even a Tim Drake eventually. We'll see what happens there. I want to see Batman getting proven wrong. I want to see Dick Grayson be like, "See, I told you so." Like, this is why you shouldn't have sidekicks. Like, look what Joker did to this kid. Like, beat the shit out of him and kill him.
Yeah, you know what kind of bugs me? His little Robin's little batarangs that are shaped like R's. There's no way that's aerodynamic enough to be accurate.
From what I heard, they click out of his chest, and he has like multiple.
Got like a little stack of them, like he's
Just
cheating
click,
at cards.
click, going.
It's crazy because they don't seem like they're going to be very good for like aim. But I mean, comic books.
We'll see how that show plays out. It's coming out soon.
When is that coming out? Do you know?
It's in
soon?
October.
Is
I think
October?
October 9th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And another show that I want to talk about before we end this is what's it called? Sorry. Young Justice. Have you watched any of the Young Justice?
I haven't. It's coming back,
Oh,
or is it back
man.
now? How's that work?
Season 3 is coming out by popular demand.
Titans is 12 days away.
And that means, I'm assuming, what's it called? We'll follow the Young Justice. So you haven't seen any of the Young Justice?
I have not seen that. And
Is there any way I can convince you to skip ahead and watch season 1 and 2?
well, yeah, I mean, the Young Justice season 3 is 3 months away. I think I got time.
Okay, cool. You need to watch that, and we need to talk about that. Try to get it in throughout this week, at least one season, and then we'll discuss.
You are
on the
literally
podcast.
giving me
It
homework.
is so good. No, you have to watch it.
Why is it every time we do this, I end up with homework?
Honestly, it is the second best DC animated series next to Batman animated series. I mean, this show is fucking awesome, and
I'm sure I have it, but
there's a lot of twists.
Oh, you know what it is? I'm still going through all the damn Super Friends cartoons.
Take a break.
I need to. They're awful.
Let's watch Young Justice. At least if you watch, season 1 is good. It's damn good. Season 2 is even
It
better.
was just a half-hour show. I can rock that out. That's no problem.
Rock out season 1, and then have the mindset that season 2 is even better, and then we'll.
I might be able to rock out, depending how long the seasons are. I might do it in a week. I don't know, but I mean, really, is that all we're gonna do? Man, why do you always cut it at like 35 minutes?
It's podcasts. We don't need to do it that long. Do you have any other topics you want to speak about?
I don't know. It's always hard for me to stay on focus because I just wander off all the time. I'm like Afro Man.
We covered a lot today.
We did. I don't feel like I learned anything.
No,
I don't think anybody else learned anything either.
Definitely
He might have
we're-
learned something if he was paying attention. I don't know.
Yeah, we have some people in the background. I mean, the next podcast, we'll go over Young Justice for sure, and some thoughts about what you want to see in the show after you watch it.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
By
with
that
animated
time,
shows.
Venom will come out. We'll be watching Venom. I'm gonna see it. I don't know if you're gonna see it.
When does it come out?
October. Well, okay. So midnight release, which now they're doing at 7, 8 o'clock, will be Thursday, October 4th. But it's
Oh wow, that's this week.
Yeah,
It's coming out
officially
for
October.
Columbus Day weekend.
Yeah. So if you want to catch it, we can catch it. If you're gonna catch it with some other people, go for it. I'm probably gonna see it once or twice.
You're probably gonna see it 5 or 6 times before I see it once.
You know me. I'll
You
watch these
live
movies.
in the theater when these
Yeah.
things come out.
If it's that good, I will see it at least 2 times before the weekend.
How many times did you see Batman vs Superman?
Maybe twice.
So it doesn't even have to be a good movie.
No, just Spider-Man I saw a few times. Wonder Woman I saw a few times. I thought that was awesome.
Wonder Woman, the only thing that bugged me about Wonder Woman is they took like the first 20 minutes of Captain America, where you got a hero in World War whatever, and stretched it to 1 hour and 45 minutes. And I'm like, okay, so you put a chick in there, you gave me a villain who has a ridiculous mustache,
Yeah.
and you just made the whole thing take place in the past.
But it was good.
It was a good movie, but
it was really good.
The villain did not sell it for me. Like, I looked at that guy,
liked
even
it.
when he put the armor on, he didn't do like Ares, God of War type stuff. The guy that played Ares in Hercules: The Legendary Journey was more intimidating than that guy.
That's funny. The movie that I saw the most in the theater, and I do not regret it, was Dark Knight. When The Dark Knight came out, I've seen that movie with every single one of my friends.
Yeah, I
in
know. I
groups.
went to see it with you, and you'd seen it so many times you fell asleep in the theater.
That was Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. So you fell asleep in the theater during Bane's speech.
I didn't like Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight, I would not fall asleep for. I watched that, I can promise you, 5 times in the theaters, for sure. Spent all the monies on Dark Knight. Give me more Joker.
You're the reason that these movies get such big opening weekends because you just keep buying tickets.
Damn right. And I will do the same if Venom's good, and especially if they have Woody Harrelson as Carnage somewhere in there.
If Woody Harrelson shows up as Carnage, that'll be very cool to watch because he does. What did I just watch him in? It was something new. I can't remember what the hell it was, but he was good. You know what I watched yesterday though?
What?
Completely unrelated comics, unless you count the actors. Dwayne Johnson's new one, Skyscraper.
Oh, I haven't watched it.
It's like Die Hard for 2018.
Is it good?
It's not bad. Like they got a lot of scenes in there that are clearly like throws to Die Hard. Like, well, one, it takes place on a tall building, and at some point he throws a German person off of it. So clearly Die Hard. He wraps like a cord around him, and he's climbing the outside of the building, like Bruce Willis did with the fire hose. Same thing with propping something in front of like a window, so he can climb, kind of like Bruce Willis did with the air vents. Like it's totally Die Hard remake, but they don't admit it at any point. But Dwayne Johnson does a great job acting on it.
I don't know how I feel about that.
He's a convincing actor. But it wasn't a bad action flick.
Well, we'll end here, and you guys tune in next Sunday while we talk about Venom and some Young Justice.
Young Justice, and again, we should remind people to donate to the thing we have not set up yet, so we can get that Lobo statue that costs like $2,000.
$1,500.
Yeah, $1,800, whatever the hell is good. It would be great. Just put it right there, and then I would take it home with me every day because I want it.
And and every time we do a podcast, we'll fix them up and change some things.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening, watching, whatever.